So good morning, friends. Uh, Welcome to KPI and Metric session 2 of Practice Growth. We discussed a few things in the last session. Just to quick recap without the slides over here, what we discussed in the KPI and the Metrics of Practice Growth Part 1 taken last week. I told you what exactly is a KPI and what exactly is a metric, the various definitions of KPIs, key performance indicators. Traditionally, we have been accustomed to use only the total collection or sometimes even the total number only, but we rarely look beyond that. So this was an honest attempt to actually tell you what exactly is based on that. So KPI actually is based upon a few scientific methods which we discussed: asking questions, setting goals, and then measuring those quantifiable goals. And if not giving you good results, testing them and retesting them for consistency. So this was one of the hallmarks of initial KPI that we discussed in the previous session. So then going on further, I gave you the criteria that why do KPIs matter? Because of the decision making capacity, because of improving of the performance, uh, and all those other reasons, and gave you a few KPI best practices using the smarter principle. We all know the using the smarter principle and the 6 A's. Smarter, smart is basically specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bound. So adding ER to it: evaluate and reevaluate. And the 6A criteria was aligned, attainable, acute, accurate, actionable, and alive. So these were a few criteria that I gave along with that. So then I further gave you an anatomy of the KPI, which included a measure, a target, a data source, and a reporting frequency. The various questions to ask. Then, like the costs, I gave you examples of 27 KPIs applicable in different fields. Of course, not all of them applicable in dentistry. 6 or 7 examples of sales KPIs. Again, 7 examples of financial KPIs. So the predominant one being the GPM, NPM, cash flow, and the EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, and depreciation. And in US, adding an A amortization as well. Then a few examples of customer KPIs, operational KPIs, uh, and a few of the marketing KPIs. Yes, I'll be discussing the marketing KPIs today. So in a little bit depth. So then I gave you in the end the 4 dental KPIs that everyone should know about the practice profitability, the journal ones. Of course, I'll be, as I said, I'll be discussing the 11 KPIs further today in the next session as well. So what were those 4 KPIs? The profitability, predominantly including the GPM and the NPM, and then the new patient conversion rate, the cancellation or the no-show rate, and the old patient percentage. So the conundrum was left on whether these 4 KPIs are just enough. If not, what exactly further holds for us in these criteria. So this was a little bit introduction about the previous session. So let me just share my screen and give you a few glimpses into today's presentation. So this is KPIs and metrics for practice growth session number 2. So as usual, all my presentations will begin with thanking the Lord Almighty has given me much more than what I deserve. So this is my brief CV that you all are aware of by now. So this is session number 32, second last for the morning for MPG. Another one last session on Tuesday in the morning on KPI part 3. And then we'll be done with this batch of MPG. So my last slide in the previous presentation after the recap now was that, is it enough? Are those 4 KPIs enough? So not necessarily those 4 KPIs are enough. Because why? Because most of the dentists actually, rather majority of us, I would say, suffer from highest churn rates. Churn rate is basically the old patients leaving your practice. And in our cases, churn rate is sometimes more than 20%. Someone who has less than 20% is actually doing really good. So one of the 4 criteria is your old patient retention comes to the fore here. So what are the exactly reasons of a high churn rate? Why do patients leave the practice and go on to other colleagues in the vicinity, in neighborhood, or maybe to a relatively more known brand? So one of the predominant reasons is the cost competition. People, yes, the economy is growing, but along with that, inflation is going big time as well. The pandemic has actually made a big dent into people saving. People were living a carefree life, but then job losses and so many other things happened, and people who had just about one source of income or even just a job actually were found lurching for just to feed off their daily needs as well. As a dentist community, I would say we are extremely lucky, because I've mentioned it time and again that our profession is such that even if we sit free for 24 23 days in a month, the rest of the 6 7 days have the potential to give us at least our monthly income average, if we work diligently and we have the patience, of course. But yes, many a times we can get even more than that also. But then we are lucky to be in a profession where the pandemic actually did not affect us that bad. Yes, there were colleagues who were found wanting, but on an average, if I may say, none of the dentists is actually cribbing or crying, except the last March end or April. They were crying because they had a lot of EMIs to pay, a lot of other liabilities. But then they are themselves to be blamed for that. Nobody actually told them to go beyond their relative means. So then cost competition, obviously, people in a zeal to actually get more patients or compensate for the pandemic, rather than revising their charges to a higher level, actually reduce their charges. And that is a pitiful condition which actually happened in my town as well. So talk to a few colleagues, keep on talking to many colleagues about the feedback about my videos, about general discussion about the industry, and they actually tell this thing, भाई बहुत नुकसान हो गया, अगर नहीं करते कॉस्ट तो जो आ रहा है वो भी ना आता. So I said, are you maintaining the protocols regarding sanitization? यार वो तो करना ही है. पेशेंट कहेगा आपके पास तो सैनिटाइजर भी नहीं है, आप कैसे करोगे? ये भी करना पड़ा, वो भी करना पड़ा. All those things we'll all know, depending upon our condition, PPE kits or disposable gowns or other measures that we employ in the practice, safeguarding our practice from, yes, the danger of pandemic is not yet over. So I said, whatever you are doing, limited or elaborated, श्योरली डिड यू इनकर इंक्रीज कॉस्ट? यार कॉस्ट तो बढ़ती है ना, हर चीज महंगी आती है, लोगों ने रेट पहले से बढ़ा दिए. व्हाट देन? इफ द कॉस्ट आर इंक्रीज, that would mean that your overheads are more and you are decreasing the charges and you have a lesser number of OPD. So what exactly you carrying off? यार तेरा कॉस्टिंग वाला वीडियो मैंने देखा था, वो ठीक है, पर मेरे को, मैं अच्छे पैसे लेके जाता हूँ. डिड यू कैलकुलेट एक्चुअली? नहीं कैलकुलेट तो नहीं किया, वो तूने वीडियो बंद कर दिया. इट वाज ऑनलाइन फॉर एटलीस्ट 10 days. So no problem, this Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, or rather tonight, late night itself, it will come online once again for 48 plus hours. If you want to watch, you can watch. चल मैं देखूंगा. वैसे मेरे को लगता नहीं है कि मेरे को कोई लॉस हुआ, मैं पैसे लेके जा रहा हूँ घर. That is the conversation between me and my colleague which happened just about 2 days back. So people are actually not worried about this thing. They want that decreased cost will actually compensate for their loss in pandemic. They are not realizing it big time, because at the moment anything other than daily needs is hardly a botheration. Retirement fund जब होगा देखा जाएगा, क्या पता किसने जिंदा बचना है. This is the answer people give when I ask them to plan for the retirement. So their personal choice. I cannot do anything much about it. If after almost 5 years of my online education and at least 3.5+ years in WhatsApp groups of these of mine, if people can say this line, I have really no botheration about what they say. Then a relatively high concentration of dentists, the number is increasing day by day per square kilometer of area, and that is actually making a big dent. People want to test out new places, people venture out to new places, and not all new clinics are just about okay. They open up big time, they open up lavishly, and people want to try a new shop, I would say, of dentistry. Then lack of service distinction. People hardly have any kind of differentiators. People come across as ये भी dentist वो भी dentist, इसमें क्या खास? There is hardly. Scaling वो भी करता है, extraction वो भी करता है, filling वो भी करता है, bridge वो भी करता है, implant वो भी करता है. तो इसमें what is the differentiator? That is where people actually fail to create. All these practice management aspects come across to us handy in a big time. So we do not need to confuse KPIs with the matrix. KPI is a big time indicator, and a matrix can be a small tool of that. So if you see your errors being repeated again and again, you need to make sure that your KPIs are not being measured correctly. So the KPI would measure your overall performance and success over the set period, whatever you give the guideline, and the matrix will aid in that calculation. It can be a tool for that. It is not an overall indicator of that. So KPI can be considered a metric, but a matrix is surely not a KPI. So to help you make the distinction, think of metric as a measurement that will help you calculate a KPI. But why? That is a big question. So before I move on to the 11 performance indicators other than the 4 indicators, so let me just give you a few marketing indicators which are actually essential. This was a question Dr. Divya asked me just before the previous session. I think she's not here today. So let me give you, how do you measure? You are actually advertising, maybe social media marketing, but what are the criteria? What are the factors you need to measure? They'll give you, देखिए आपका click rate कितना है, आपका impression rate कितना है. A click rate and an impression rate are not actually indicators of your patients turning up or your leads converting. There are other criteria. So let's see those. Because when we are running the clinic side, it will take some time. But if you do not know how to measure those advertising expenses, advertising phenomenon that you are actually investing into, some of you might be, or rather many of you might be, and nothing wrong in that. It is the in thing for today's times. So you can actually, you will really feel, yaar main paise dalta ja raha hu, I'm not getting the returns as I want. I don't know how many patients are there. I have no idea. Kitne patient deke gaya paise? No idea. So let me give you 6 essential marketing KPIs which can at least give you a fair amount of idea of how to measure whether your growth is successful or not, or whether whatever energy, money, resources, and the spending, of course, we put into it, is it really worth it? Because the agencies will actually, just give me a minute, please. Sorry, had an urgent call from my lab. So the agencies that focus on these social media marketing, they face this frustration from clients कि मेरे को कोई लीड्स तो मिली नहीं, मेरे को कोई कन्वर्जन्स तो मिली नहीं. हाउ डू आई लिक, आप बोल रहे हैं क्लिक थ्रू रेट देखो कितना, इंप्रेशन रेट कितना. दीज आर नॉट द क्राइटेरिया. So people, I would say, clinics are reporting siloed marketing metrics. Siloed means isolated metrics, which will say, which are actually not related to your conversion part. As I mentioned, the click-through rate or the impression rate, these tell you how an ad is performing, but that doesn't tell you that you are getting more patients. So there is a difference between the two of the things. So I just gave you an example of the YouTube channel only. If anyone of you has a YouTube channel and have been putting videos on that, for example, I am doing it. I daily go through the metrics, or the, oh, sorry, the analytics part of the YouTube. How many hours, how many click-through rate, how many say video per minute has been watched. The industry standard is, if you have a video being watched, whatever length you're putting it, 5 to 7, you are doing really reasonably good, and something close to 10 is considered excellent. So mine is currently around 8 minutes per watch, so more than decent enough, if I would say. But then there are so many analytics which are the criteria. How many males and females, how many subscribers and non-subscribers, which is the age group, which is the source through which traffic is diverted, average impression rate, average click-through rate. When I put up the costing videos, actually YouTube was boggled. Your channel, आपने अपने channel में कुछ किया है, there is something that has happened in your channel, because your views are at presently about 310% of what it was. So in the previous 10 days period, when the courtesy you people who put up your feedback for costing sessions, the views actually went up drastically. And there was a day in which there were more than around 90 hours of watching as well. Ideally, it should be more. Even if I put up a video 1 hour and there are 1800 plus subscribers, I should be easily getting 300 hours a day, 18,000, more than say 1800 hours per day in that sense, if it is a video 1 hour. But then this does not happen. People do go through that, but they don't watch it fully, or even they are just the subscribers for any purpose only. So practices that want to see patient growth must focus on the KPIs of the marketing, because these are the ones, because you are burning, you are really putting in your hard-earned money, because that will actually return you new appointments, revenue growth, and your conversions from the leads, making people more aware of many things that you have to offer to them in your practice. So what are the 6 essential marketing KPIs that every one of us who's putting in the money should be tracking and holding their marketing teams accountable for? People ask me, as Dr. Divya also asked me, what exactly should I ask my marketing team? What should I be looking at? What should I be actually measuring? So let me tell you. Number 1 is leads by type. That is the first thing. Because if you remember, you must have filled in many feedback forms. They always, where did you come to know about us? Facebook, Instagram, whatever. So depending upon the data research or whatever the inputs that you give, that will actually tell that where you need to put in more energy and money, which is giving you conversions. For example, people may be having good leads from Facebook. Some might be having from Instagram. So accordingly, the marketing should be preferred over those criteria in such situations. So again, leads by type. It is not enough to understand that how many total leads are we getting, but the type. The type can be via phone calls, via contact us form submissions, via content downloads, or any other activity that you are considering as a lead in your practice. So if you know what are the leads by type, that will actually tell you, yes, this is the reason. But then all leads are not equal. As you know, some will be better at deriving your patient acquisition. In US, there are certain third-party tracking services or similar, like call tracking metrics, CallRail, What Converts. So these are all in US or the European countries as well, but majority of these agencies or tracking services are American only. So in our part of the world, we usually look at the Google Analytics, so that each distinct setup is looking like a goal. Yes, this is the conversion part, this is the lead part, this is the, say, return from that particular segment. So Google actually provides you detailed guides to make that goal easy. But problem is that again, incompetency not amongst dentists only, it is in other professions also. So take time to, the agencies don't actually set up those analytics correctly and don't test them properly to whatever they record. They will just record the basic things. So then the cost per lead. So how much lead cost is the key, is your total paid marketing effort investment. So for example, if you pumped in 5,000 a month and you got 10 leads, so that would mean a lead costed you 500 rupees. Now this is a lead. Whether that converted or not, that is a different question altogether. I'll come to that also. So rather than how much you are paying for your clicks, देखिए आपकी ads को कितने clicks मिले हैं. वो clicks जो होते हैं ना, वो they all can be false and farce also. There are various agencies sitting, other their tie-ups can actually make sure, make them clear that they are paying for, or rather they are clicking on your ad and you're getting the numbers. We are very happy. Wow, our ad is getting very popular. So we shouldn't be much happy on the number of clicks or the impression rate. The main focus should be to understand that how many leads they are generating. And not every lead type will have a cost associated with it. For example, if you have a website and your contact us generates the maximum leads, that is not the marketing agency return. That is the website which is already there. So you are promoting that maybe on your prescription pad, maybe on your leaflets, maybe on your visiting card. So people are clicking. Maybe it comes up in Google search as well. Maybe your listing is there, which is actually free listing is mentioning your website. So your contact us on your website can be a different indicator. You don't need to really credit that to your marketing agency unless you have told them to market the different pages of your website in a different manner so that your differentiator stands out, and that differentiator made the customer or the patient, potential patient, to click on that contact us form or the feedback form, whatever. So but then it is important to understand what your investment is to generate a rough cost per lead, because that will tell you whether you are in profitable thing or not. Total cost of the leads may be easy to measure. Total budget divided by the number of leads. As I told you, 5,000 divided by 10, for example, 500 per lead is the answer. But then you have to look for the organic social also. The organic thing means that whatever is there without any, if you were not promoting anything, that is the organic data on the net. We all listen to this term, but not very clear about it. But organic search में बोलते हैं ना, organic search में मेरे को क्या मिला? Organic search means this thing only. Organic means somebody is not promoting and getting maybe a generation out of that. So a cousin of mine actually told me, you promote your YouTube channel. Said, I'm not doing it for revenue purpose. I'm just creating it for awareness. Why do I need to pump in the money? He said, people will know more about you. So what will that do? That is not going to give me any patience, because I have publicized right from the day one that this channel is exclusively for my patient or for my colleagues, medical and dental, and not for my patients. That was the tagline that I used first day to promote. I don't need patients from that, or I won't get patients from that. Yes, a few patients are also subscribed to that. I know that. But then it is not about whether they are subscribed to that or not, but they might not be checking every video out. They are actually interested more in the finance part. So they checked out. They actually got a lead through organic search only, because I'm not doing any YouTube promotion. So they said, I was searching for a video on loans. I came across your video. It popped up in top 3. And I was curious, my doctor, my dentist, and loans, how come that? Then when I searched further, I saw there were 3 videos on loans. I was actually looking for a detailed, say, phenomenon for loan, or detailed breakup, what all to look up, what all types of loans are there, what are the criteria. And your video actually perfectly fitted the bill. And when I further searched, I found so many. They were perfectly organized in various playlists. You had a great finance playlist. So yes, you have practice management and all those and medical legal. I am not really interested in that. I'm sorry for that. But I would be checking out your financial videos. Can I subscribe to your channel? It's a free world. You can do so. But they mentioned it. And the second patient also came across via insurance leads to me. That I was looking for a health insurance part, and your videos served me the perfect recipe. Imagine the dentists are not interested and the patients are interested in delivering. Just a small example. This is a kind of an organic search. But when I do it a paid marketing, yes, I can customize it that it gives appearance, or gives, I would say, on the screens of potential candidates only, who are dentists only or doctors only. I'm not, I may be generating good amount of subscribers for that, but that is not my aim. Why should I be indulging into a paid marketing for a return where I don't expect anything in bargain for that? This is my CSR initiative. It is not my paid initiative. So this is the thing. Again, it was a healthy debate between me and my cousin. But what I actually want to take home from there is that if you are getting leads from organic search also, and via your advertising you are getting almost the same leads, then it means that your advertising is not giving you the desired results as it should. So organic searching is also important. So imagine if you're doing it, you need to get it very, very clearly. And that is the reason I told you contact us or the leads by type. The first KPI for this is extremely important as well. So once you know what is your cost per lead, you can create a benchmark for it, how much it costs to generate a lead in each of your different channels, Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn, wherever you're promoting it or whichever way you're promoting. If you get a lead by type, you know it, yes कि मैं इस पे इन्वेस्ट करता हूँ तो मेरा एक एवरेज खर्चा एक पेशेंट के लिए 500 रुपए 800 रुपए whatever it is, it does come. Then the website visitor to lead conversion rate. So what percentage of your website traffic converts into leads? Someone calling you, someone scheduling an appointment, or maybe filling out a contact us form, feedback form. So it is actually the thing that whosoever visits your website, how much they are converted. Again, is it through organic search or is it through the paid one? The paid one will always highlight the specific areas of your website as you might be doing it. And then what it is, the number of leads is divided by total website visitors divided by the number of sessions or divided by the number of leads. So this is a fair good criteria if your paid agency, marketing agency is actually dealing with the website highlighting part as well. So again, the Google Analytics will give you a good amount of calculation for that. And it'll also tell you how your website is good at motivating the visitors to reach you. So if you remember, I have mentioned the patient source of referral whenever I discuss record keeping, PSOR. So this is for this purpose only. It'll tell you if your source of referral is online, then you really need to, and if it is a good source of online, maybe via free listing that you have, JD, Google, whatever, Google 360, if they are giving you a free listing, there are third parties, so many others available as well. So if your source of referral is online, then you really need to consider digital marketing for your client. That is very important. So then lead conversion rate by source. Each channel is unique. So each will have a different conversion rate. People say Facebook is outdated now. Instagram is the in thing. And a newer version, further audio version, the Clubhouse is also in vogue. So things will keep on changing. But yes, you need to understand that which channel is best for you. Facebook might be working best for me, for example. Insta might be working best for you. LinkedIn might be working for someone else. Another Twitter might be working for someone different person. So it is all a different kind of a thing that it is very easy to calculate your lead conversion rate via source. So if you want to track your lead conversion rate for organic search, as I said, it is a non-paid one. Divide the total leads from organic by the site sessions from organic search. So it'll tell you what exactly is your lead percentage in that. But then whenever the marketing agencies do, they will actually incorporate your URL, the unique resource link of your website, the website link into your tracking devices also. And that ways they will say calculate or measure the percentage, how exactly that is happening. But if you don't have such tracking in place, I mentioned there are third party in US, there are not much available in India, or at least the people don't want to pay for those metrics, especially third party metrics, because they are costly. So people are not ready to pay for that. So they rely on Google Analytics only, or maybe whatever data the provider gives them. So then otherwise, if you don't know the source where your phone call originated from, or unless you ask it, it will not be clear to you. So then GMB listing, we all know, Google My Business. It is a free listing. So you should know how many listings are there. And those who have a free listing, GMB sends you data every month. So your views went up, went down this much this month. And actually, so many people clicked on your link so many people clicked on your website, whatever it is. So you should have a tracked phone number, separate clinic phone number. If you are going in with the digital marketing part, don't use your personal phone number for this purpose, especially if you are doing this thing very actively, and determine what is actually driving the calls to your practice. So the new patient, because you know your old patients have your number if you are giving it, of course. So if someone is calling on the new number, that means that is a new lead, and that is where you can do it. Then the fifth metric is the new patient conversion rate. Now comes the important part. Not exactly in your hand, in the advertising agency's hand, but what percentage will result in a new patient? Sometimes people will actually call you up that we want to take an appointment, but they never turn up. So a lead not converted into a new patient conversion. So you need to have that information as well. So this is one of the important KPIs for our practices, because a low new patient conversion rate may mean that there are issues. Either your phone number is having missed calls, or maybe there are not a good follow-ups being given by you or your receptionist or your staff, whosoever is in charge of your contact us or maybe feedback form submission. I want a quote for, I used to get a lot of in the initial phases, 2006 or 7, I would say, I used to get a lot of emails and lot of contact forms. I need a quote for this. I need a quote for this. Almost on daily basis, I used to get at least one email in those times. And it was very difficult to always reply, because we were not even sure whether it is our neighboring dentist doing that or whether it is actually the patient doing that. But then we always employed some reasonably simple means to actually get hold of these things. So then the last metric in this segment is cost per new patient. And whatever we do, ultimately, this is the thing that matters, the ultimate thing. At the end of the day, सब कुछ हो गया, lead हो गया, convert हो गया. What exactly is the cost for the new patient? So it'll tell you whether you should spend on digital marketing or not, and if you you want to give it a long rope or not, or maybe if it is a loss-making exercise, how many months you can continue with that, or maybe making a slight adjustment each month that yes, this source is giving me traffic, so I'll invest more in this source, maybe less in the other parts. So even if investing more in that source, your total budget may remain the same. Because you deducted from somewhere and added in the source which is giving you conversion. So you then divide your total spending by the number of new patients you generate. The leads becoming your patients actually. So for example, if it is 500 to generate a new patient from paid search and your average revenue per patient is 2500, then you know that 500 में patient आया था, मेरे को 5 गुना देके गया. This is the average. This is not per patient. We are talking about the average, whatever number of leads you have. So if that 500 is giving you 2500 return, it is a decent enough return. You are still getting a 5 times return. Obviously, I'm not taking the profit part. I'm just taking the revenue only. So maybe if your 50% is the margin, technically you are taking home 1250 only. Just to be, if I take your bare minimum NPM to be 50%, so that would decrease it to 2.5 times. But then the problem might not be with your lead or your marketing agency. This problem, that if your revenue is 2500 per patient, that problem might be with your internal marketing or your way to handle or your practice management principles of your clinic. So don't fault the marketing agency for it. So the sky is the limit. If someone comes to you through net, obviously he won't have much of the trust factor. So if he doesn't have a trust factor, how you build that up with again the 3 E's that I mentioned: effectively, efficiently, and efficaciously. How you maintain that with a small job so that the trust is maintained, because everyone who will come to your clinic and not trust you, or maybe wants to get a job done, he will not trust you straight away with the FMR on an implant case. Yes, if you have marketed your practice in a way that you do excellent implants, then probably that lead might be definitely a first up implant only. But if you are just marketing your practice without any differentiator in mind, which is the mistake many people do, then you need to realize that yes, people would then always start with a smaller job to you, so that they can test your hands and test your way of working. And that is where they make their decision whether you are a good guy in that sense, technically or technique wise, I would say, to undergo a big one or a big ticket procedure with you. If they don't get that done, and yes, it again further depends upon you also, that how good you are at conveying after the chief complaint is solved, what exactly needs to be done in their mouth, the alternate IND that I mentioned, information and education. So you need to convey to the patient that yes, you might be doing that. Some I have genuinely seen such cases where my patients have told me, because I do IND very regularly. My two patients have at least told me in the recent 6 months only, um, when the COVID one say lockdown almost ended and things almost became normal by November, December. People told me, we went to a dentist. They never named. I never forced them. Also, we went to a dentist via Google 360. There was a lot of ad, and we just wanted to go over there. So we went in for a restoration. He did a good restoration, but then I had other missing teeth in my mouth, which you are restoring now. So they never told us about it. So they came to me also via any referral only, and got a small treatment done. And I, as a part of my duty and as a part of my work culture, I gave them a I&E part, and they were very happy. Not a big thing for me; it is a routine thing for me. I don't find anything special in that. But maybe the patient found something special in that. Yes, this doctor actually knew that. Yes, what else needs to be done, and that conversion happened. So if your revenue is stuck to this limit, that has got to mostly do with your internal marketing and not your marketing agency. The last thing. But yes, what is the total revenue? That would still matter, because that will decide whether you need to reinvest that money into marketing for the coming months, or you still want to pay from your pocket, or you want to increase your something. If you're getting good revenue, you will want to put some of that money back into the system so that it works for you more, because paid marketing also needs some long rope, that I always keep on mentioning. This is the long rope. You earn something from out of it and then reinvest the same into the system back. So again, how much growth potential you can see. Sometimes the growth can be endless also. Then make sure that you are tracking how much revenue being generated per patient, such referrals only. Of course, you can measure from whole OPD as well, but then you need to set up a SOPs for that your staff members are noting this in the patient records, or maybe you are making a note of it. But again, for this, you need to have that one love for your figures and numbers that I keep on talking always. So sometimes can be difficult for us, because there is a revenue cycle which is different, usually in United States and the European countries, where where dentists are dealing with patient insurance part. In our part, the revenue cycle is delayed because the credit cycle sometimes, but then the hard work is worth it. At least whenever it comes, maybe 15 days, 20 days delay, the payment should be there via tracking that part. So once you're tracking these KPIs and using them to regularly evaluate your marketing efforts, you will know that where you need to improve and where you need to invest for your repeatable, scalable growth, instead of chasing the metrics that don't matter. So these are the 6 factors, these are the 6 KPIs which are essential. But then Benjamin Franklin once said, if better is possible, then good is not enough. So we began from the slide, is that enough? So sometimes the good is also just not enough. You have to get better. And if best is possible, then better is also not enough. So what are the 11 key performance indicators? I told you the 4 essential dental KPIs that every dentist should know. Now look at the other 11 KPIs. So that would make total of 15. Every dentist should be knowing. So for most of us, we always say good health is important. And the saying also says, If you're healthy, you're wealthy. And the same is true for your practice also. Because a strong practice will have flourishing production and, of course, a robust bottom line. So, always to measure your practice health, you should consider the KPIs for the dentistry as well. So, these are the statistics that will represent your practice growth and success. And they can be measured and summarized in a routine single page report every month. So, like most would say कि profit and loss statement तो देखते ही हैं हम लोग. Annual देख लो चलो उसको monthly we can see. But many of the KPIs are not found on a PL statement. But is P&L statement good enough? Unfortunately, even the PL statement is not watched by many who have done balance sheet workshop. They are doing it. PL statement watching. But what about the rest? Are they doing it? I've just say guided handful. I would say maximum. I would say balance sheet workshop. I would have done with 150, 160 people till date. Maybe a little more. Maybe 200. Not more than that. We are 3 lakh in number. So everyone, I'm talking about the number of dentists only. So in fact, sometimes even those who are watching the PL statements also, they believe that your practice is performing better. They are fooled into that. And I believe your myths were broken badly by the GPM and the NPM. But then KPIs are based on real data and provide a true picture of the practice performance in so many areas. And when you are not tracking your KPIs, you actually will ignore the early warning signs. If some procedures, your gross margins are going up to 40, 45%, accordingly, your net profit margins will go down further as well. So if you're carrying home 10 to 20% of your NPM, you need to do a serious introspection that your practice is not profitable at all. So even if you're stagnant, you need to make sure, because stagnant means that you're actually going to go down. So these KPIs give actually a few warning signs or indications of the declining practice performance. So what are the 11 KPIs? Let's start with them in brief. So number one is the practice production or the total OPD numbers. This we almost all of us track. So this is one of the most important KPIs. So people will know that if the OPD numbers are going down, the practice will decline in performance as well. But then where the production is not going, but overhead is reducing, you're you are actually taking care of the costs. The pattern can be sustained only for a limited period. The bottom line is the production or the OPD numbers should grow. And in US and European, they say track it on a hourly, monthly, weekly, daily basis. Obviously not possible. I would advise at least track them monthly, quarterly, and annually. So these are the 3 metrics that I would advise. You can't track them say every day sometimes. So there are off days sometimes. So by comparing it to your goals, you can actually measure whether your reduction in performance has been there. So if your OPD numbers are rising, it is a positive sign for any practice. But because whatever patient comes, I remember one of my colleagues in Ludhiana is a good practitioner. He says, I make sure whosoever comes into my practice at least pays me 1,500 rupees. That is the bare minimum. How do you make sure? We do a checkup, we do testing, we do diabetes testing, we do a OPG, we do model analysis. Said somebody who has just walked in for a consultation. He said, no, you have to go through this process. Said this might be turning off many patients as well. बहुत लोग बोलते होंगे हमें नहीं करवाना भाई, हमें तो सिर्फ कंसल्टेशन लेने की, मैं करवाऊं ना करवाऊं. This is a cycle that everyone has to go through. So everyone pays me minimum 1,500 per day. And if I even have 10 patients, I'm bare minimum carrying home 15,000. And of course, I'm not doing consultation only. I'm working on some patients as well. So there are many multiple ways people employ in this sense. So then the second KPI, again measured by us, the gross income. Beyond that, there are many things which don't measure. So yes, the production or the numbers are a good KPI, but ultimately the collections will decide whether you are at a break-even stage or say profit-making stage. So you can actually collect what all is due to you. And if you have less in bad debts, it is very easy and simple for you. Bad debt means your patients don't give you your complete dues. Then the practice profit or the NPM. So whenever we have to talk about if you remember the profitability in the 4 KPIs that I talked about the GPM and the NPM both. But when you have to talk the absolute indicators, we do not talk the GPM. Trust me, a few people who missed out on the third, fourth, and fifth session obviously had a conversation with me over WhatsApp, open up this much. I said, what points were clear to you? I said, I saw your GPM very clearly. It was mentioned in 2 sessions, number 3 and number 4. There were people, actually, we identified with a lot of people who gave us all you 6 super speakers who gave the ideas about different calculations. I said, yes. So my GPM is falling in range only, and I'm doing pretty well, I guess. So I said, did you check out the NPM? नहीं एनपीएम वो रात को लेट हो गया था ना, आपने वीडियो फिर प्राइवेट कर देना था, तो फिर आई जस्ट रैन इट ऑन 1.5x स्पीड, आगे आगे करके देखा. So that is where you actually miss the whole logic. Set calculate your NPM, and you don't need to do it on a daily basis. You just need to do it once for your procedure, or maybe once you have done it, say documented it, and when you're doing that procedure next, that documented thing would be in your mind. For example, Dr. Sethi did it on root canal separately. So he would have all those things in the mind. So if he's investing something into into that regime or that list of expenses, he will remember, yes, ye cheez to maine dali nahi usme. Then he will add that next time and make adjustments accordingly. So he is clear in his mind once he's doing it, yes, this is my GPM and this is going to be my NPM. So you don't have to calculate it every time. It is just a benchmark to give you so that it remains in your mind. And unless you do it by hand, sun ke koi bhi fayda nahi. People say the GPM formulas were very confusing. It was not very clearly made by you. I said, then the problem lies in your understanding, not in my explanation. There were 6 people who just saw the third session of 15-20 minutes and calculated this GPM. And they didn't have a repeat watch also. So how could they do it? If they can do it, you can also do it. It is just about this thing that I don't know, people lose their confidence. I have seen it in many people. Once they get dentistry and they had to miss MBBS because of whatever reasons, they suddenly become as vulnerable as any, say, dumb guy. They would say, nahi, MBBS nahi mili, iska matlab hum kisi layak hi nahi hai. So that is their thought process. People actually, dentists, I find it very hard to say, but there are so many dentists who are not willing to exercise their brain also. But if you are doing it, sirf sun ke dekh ke kuch nahi hoga. If these 6 can do it, the rest of you who are watching it, if you are not calculating your GPM or the NPM, at least for your procedures, you are doing an injustice to your profession, because you are in light, you are in dark about what profit you are carrying home. You are just living in that false paradise that, yes, I'm carrying home good. So each practice should have a specific KPI. I give that if I have to pick up one between the GPM and the NPM and the other factors, I'll pick up the NPM, because that is what matters to me. That is what I'm carrying home. So this is a simple calculation minus total collection minus overhead. So everything left is my profit in regard to what goes to the dentist. A profit ko how do I spend? Either I buy a new technology, or I fund my retirement, or I add to it my personal income. It is my choice. Whatever I am carrying back home, then I apply the budgeting principle on it or not. I gave you 50, 30, 20. I gave you my Bhavdeep formula of 50, 45, 15, 40 as well. So how much you are accumulating, what you are spending is not a concern of the clinic. What you're earning from the clinic is a concern of the clinic. That comes in your saving and investing part. The clinic tracker is over. अब clinic के पैसे में से आपको कुछ नहीं बचा, तो that means your budgeting is at fault. Your spending is at fault, not the clinic earning. If you are carrying home a good NPM of 50 to 60 or bare minimum 50, that would mean that, yes, you are actually doing good. So if you, but then even after taking home a good NPM, you are very extravagant and want to splurge on needless things and are left with practically nil at the end of the month, then your budgeting and spending is at fault, not your clinic growth. So then your percentage of active patients currently scheduled. This is a metric which is very commonly used in the US and the European countries. They say whatever the number of active leads or active patients which have consulted with you, they should be scheduled around 98%, their study says. But most practices fall below 85%. So in India, we don't keep a track of this. We just look at the overall conversion ratio, which I put it at 7.2, 72 out of 100. And even that, I look at from the medium and the big ticket cases. I just don't look at those conversions. The patient came in, I consulted him for a one light curve restoration. The patient didn't have anything to be done more, maybe one oral prophylaxis. Maybe I did that also. So before that, he was not my patient. Before, after that, he will not be my patient for some time since his mouse didn't have anything else to be done. So I don't count that in my conversion ratio. It is as simple as that for me. So we all are in an area where we need to retain almost all the patients that we are treating. It is very difficult to harness new patients. It is more so difficult in the Western world. They spend enormous amounts of budget to actually pull the patients to their clinic. So they always say any patient who is not currently scheduled, because their appointments go up to 3 months to 6 months. आज रूट कनाल की जरूरत है, अपॉइंटमेंट 6 महीने बाद की मिलेगी. So their work system works like that. So for them, any patient not scheduled is a lost patient, because whatever is scheduled, even that patient, if he jumps or skips, has to pay some amount to the clinic if he misses the appointment or if he cancels the appointment. So then we need to make sure that if your patient base is increasing, that is an excellent indicator of your health and potential. And तभी बोलते हैं ना, the race to the 1,000 is difficult. From 0 to 10, first 10 happy, satisfied patients, 10 to 20, 20 to 50, and then 50 to 100, 100 to 200 takes a lot of time, sometimes as good as 3 to 4 years of getting 200 satisfied patients. Yes, people might be lucky, but once you are done with 200, 200 to 500, and 500 to 1,000 does not take much of time. And once you have 1,000 happy and successful patients, I say this one line, कि आप मान के चलो, if you don't change your work ethics, आपकी pension लग गई. You will never have a dearth of patients ever if you have 1,000 successful patients in your practice and you are able to retain them also. Then one of the important indicators again used in Western world is that overheads or indirect cost, not the directs, but the indirect cost, which we took up in the NPM part, not in the GPM. In the GPM, we just took up the prime cost or the direct cost or the material cost and the staff per head cost. So high overhead is the silent killer of any business. Fixed expenses that cannot be reversed or reduced obviously will put pressure and decrease your income. So what the study in a US data that says practice overhead, that means the indirect expenses, should be at 59% for general practice, 49 for ortho, 49 for pediatric, 50 for OS, 51 for perio, 64 for prosto. That was surprising for me because I believe prosto has a less input cost comparatively, and then 42 for the endo. And these were the two figures I believe should have been interchanged. But then, yes, this is not our data. Whatever system they employ, it is as per that only. So if they say if the overhead is higher than these KPI targets, an analysis should be done. So why I am giving you this data if it is applicable in US? Because if you remember, I gave you two answers for indirect, depending upon either the journal chart, which I'll show you once again today, and or based on your balance sheet or your I&E, profit and loss statement, which gave you an idea. Yes, this is the direct cost. In one, I calculated by via 50%. I took direct, whatever direct was, we took that exactly similar to the indirect, adding that at a 50%. And in one, we took indirect at 33%. What I told you, and I would repeat here again, is that indirect costs are customized. Your clinic and my clinic indirect cost might be different. Obviously, direct will also differ, but direct, if we both are using the same material and we are charging the same, more or less our GPM would be the same. But even with those conditions, our NPMs won't be same because your and mine indirect cost would vary. So what is your percentage of indirect cost? This is just to give you an idea. Don't take these realistically. what it is, a general guideline or a benchmark for the US. You have to settle your calculation, because if you want to calculate your NPM, you have to take in your data. You have to put in your data that what percentage of your indirect costs are of your direct, or in totality, what are they contributing, as we did in NPM. So if you have a little bit further confusion, the YouTube channel links would open tonight, late night, and go up to early morning on Monday. So you can watch the GPM and NPM videos again. So remember, if your overhead is higher than the target, whatever it is a benchmark. So calculate why they are higher, and then you have to employ those strategies to bring them in line. That is what I said at the calculation of NPM also, that if your GPM, if your direct costs are 50% and your indirect are 60% on the higher side, you really need to keep a tab on that. Where is the money leaking actually? That is the leakage. That is a leaking bucket. So you need to know about that. So then the sixth KPI is average production per patient. So what exactly your one patient is contributing to your income. And now we calculate this as per the, not as per the 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle. We believe that 80% patients would give us the 20% revenue, and the 20% patients will bring us the 80% revenue. That works more or less for every clinic. But whenever you have to calculate it per patient average, you demonstrate it per head, not going by the 80-20 principle. So then you analyze one revenue per amount per patient. For that, what do you need? Your record keeping. Ultimately, the backbone of everything would be record keeping only. The only thing, if you are aware of that or not. So then your average production should also, if the number of patients are to increase annually, your production should also increase. So if it is not increasing, it is actually leading to a decline. So you need to understand and employ those strategies, your internal marketing principles, which will help you actually increase that. For example, increase your number of whitening cases, do motivation in that regard, add a periodontal diagnostic program, or maybe implement oral hygiene almost for everyone after motivation, or add a new service. These are all potential ways to increase the average production per patient. अगर आप हर पेशेंट में ये प्रोसेस अगर होने वाला है, उनको गाइड करेंगे, मोटिवेट करेंगे, you will spend some time with the patient. You may be able to say convince the patient for additional procedures, which will increase your revenue per patient. If that increases your revenue per patient, that means you will have more collections. That means you will have more GPM and more NPM, because the chair side time would be still the same, what you are spending with the patient. So then average production per new patient linked with your marketing KPI. This is not your the routine one. This is not the sixth one that we discussed. That was average production per patient. That is average revenue or production per new patient. Whatever the new patient is there, whatever he is bringing into practice. So the key metric here is that average new patient should be 2 to 3 times higher than the average production per patient. So for example, you have 100 patients and you have 1000 per patient coming revenue. You would say total मेरे महीने में 1 लाख के collection है, and I had 100 patients. Just to simplify, just to explain you, 1 लाख मैंने कमाया gross collection, not talking about the GPM NPM here, just the gross collection. My total collection was 1 lakh rupees. I had 100 patients in the month, so my average per patient is 1000 rupees. Now, if I go and calculate मेरे total patients कितने थे? For example, I had 20 patients. So what was the revenue? Ideally, my revenue should be 20,000 from them. The minimum one, if I took the average. But if your metric says that you actually earned 50 or 60,000 from these new patients, that means 2 to 3 times higher than the average, then that means you're doing good. Because sometimes the old patients will come for repeat jobs, for small jobs. They know you. They have been made aware of any even small incident or event occurring. कि छोटी सी भी प्रॉब्लम आए तो इग्नोर मत करना, बताना, दिखाना. They came to ये डॉक्टर, ये फिलिंग टूट गई, ये दांत टूट गया, ये क्राउन निकल गया, whatever. Small little things which you are doing it, that might not be giving you good revenue. but your major revenue would be maybe coming from new patient. But yes, if those new patients are also giving you only 1,000 rupees average, then remember your revenue will come down. The conversions are not happening. That is what I mean to say. The conversion for the new patient should happen, and whatever revenue you have to discuss, whatever revenue you have to garner totally should be more from your new patients, because that is how they will gain faith over you also. If you do a good job, of course, that you should be doing and you would be doing as well. So if you're doing that, that'll give you more faith, and that'll actually give you more production also, or more revenue also, and ultimately they'll give you more referrals also. It is all a linked and a related chain. You just have to understand the metrics and dynamics are involved in this. So people actually routinely diagnose larger cases, and then either due to lack of care or whatever the patient has received in the past, because you are offering them a fresh set of eyes, a fresh set of diagnosis, which the patients have been suggested for the first time. Nobody suggested them before. So maybe your way of looking, people tell, I gave you the example of 6 months back, two of my patients. They said nobody told us actually, because we are too busy. हमें लगता है जो बाहर 5 waiting में बैठे हैं, that should be dealt with first. The problem, the question I ask is, why are those 5 sitting in the waiting? Why are you still not working even after the pandemic? Leave aside the other practice metrics, leave aside the internal marketing principles. Why after the pandemic, or even during the, if it is still the pandemic continuing, I would say, why even during the pandemic you are keeping 5 patients in the waiting? If you have not learned your lessons as yet, then you are not never going to learn anyways. So yes, now coming back to dentistry, those patients should be scheduled, because you need to spend an opportune time with the patient. I do less patients in the day, sometimes not more than 10 to 12. Sometimes I find those 10 to 12 also taxing for me. These days I'm having a huge surge in OPD, and having that is the reason my text sessions are missing in the group. I take out time during my lunch time to check out my presentations as well. As I told you, I checked out yesterday also for the financial investment journey. मेरे को लगा कुछ और add करना. That is why I extended by one more part, because I usually go through my presentation at least a day before, not on the day, because I never know. The last day I might be busy and I might not be able to devote that much amount of time. That is known as just a small aspect of planning. So then always make sure that your diagnosis and your findings are good enough to suggest to the patient, yes, you need to get this done. Don't push like a car salesman. As I always say, always make them aware that yes, this needs to be done. What are the pitfalls in generally? But pitfall का मतलब ये भी नहीं कि आप बोल दो ये करवा लो नहीं तो कैंसर हो जाएगा. Don't use that terminology in your practice, which is not scientifically backed up by any kind of data or research. Always make, yes, this can cause you infection and cause you problem big time. So you can, there are so many ways to say it. So I've taken a session of power of spoken words in the practice. So if you remember that, you need to do that. Still that video is, I think, not on YouTube, getting delayed because of some reasons. Anyways, so coming to the 8th KPI for essential for us, the case acceptance rate. So again, it is one of the most variable ones. So I would say for a single tooth procedure, a 90% case acceptance. I usually don't measure that also. But in Western world, they say 85% case acceptance rate should be there. In Indian scenarios, I put that ideal case conversion ratio at 7.2 out of 10 or 72 out of 10 out of 100. If you are converting 72 patients out of 100 patients seen for medium to big ticket cases, you are actually doing very good. So anything above is always welcome. Anything less can still go into the average range, but anyone getting below 4 out of 10 is actually doing really bad. So then the number of new patients, which is again a very critical parameter in any practice. So there are some specialties like a oral surgery, like a ortho, like a endo, where people actually get almost new patients every day. There are rarely old patients or different cases. Yes, there might be, but these are the ones which are actually, which give these specialties new patients always. So you need to calculate your model, whatever percentage you have actually in that. And if your new patients represent more than 90% of your revenue in these practices, they actually are doing good for these specialty practices, because they hardly able to have old cases. So isme bhi aap segregation you can do it to create a target. For example, you can create a model in which you say 75% your of revenue is by your produced by dentist only, and 25% is by advertising. I told you the marketing KPIs. How do you measure that? Whatever revenue per patient is there, you need to measure कि at least मेरा जो revenue आ रहा है 25% advertising से है, so that I can grow also in numbers, I can grow in revenue also, I can grow in my total production also, I can grow and reinvest in my advertising budget also. Then from that 75, you can actually further create that 50% should be from old retention pay or old patients or retentive patients, on 40 from the new, and 10% from emergencies. A segregation of that. Yes, this is also possible if you are very diligent on further scrutinizing your record keeping. If you can do that, scrutinize your record keeping, surely then you are on the right track. Then you can measure that what has happened in the past, and you are likely to improve on that, or continue with that, or maintain that if you're happy with that. So this is a metric that will actually tell you what exactly is your mindset when you're treating a patient. How do you treat a patient? Obviously, ideally, every patient should be treated with an open mind. But then there are certain cases where you need to just, for example, an emergency case, you don't need to be very, calculative in while doing the emergency part, because you are concerned about the patient bleeding, patient swelling, or whatever. If there any maybe the patient trauma, maybe the tooth which have come out, so luxated teeth, whatever the emergency type is there, you don't you exercise due diligence in that, only you exercise caution in that. उसमें आप कैलकुलेशन नहीं करते हो कि इतने पैसे मिलेंगे, ये करेंगे तो ये मिल जाएगा, ये करेंगे उस वक्त your first effort is to actually save the patient's situation at that time. So you act accordingly. So once you understand your annual production goal, similarly you can calculate your KPIs for the patient. Then the patient attrition rate, a number of patients you lose on an annual basis. I mentioned in a previous KPI also that what is your churn rate. Why is the churn rate, if the churn rate is less than 20%, you're doing actually good. That was one of the first slides today. So what is a successful practice? We say jo practice comes from 30 lakhs or more per year kama rahi hai. So that is actually doing good, which makes it roughly 2.5 lakhs per month gross, not net, gross. But these numbers should reflect in your ITR also. That is what I say. If they are not reflecting in your ITR, then the black money, whatever you generate, is not worth it. So if somebody is earning 2.5 lakhs gross, non-COVID times also, COVID times, whatever, I'm not talking the COVID time, talking about the non-COVID times as well, then you're doing good. More can be the upper limit, but minimum is this amount is good. But if your practice is growing, if your revenue is good, it is indirectly or related to your attrition also. Not directly, but indirectly to patient attrition also. A successful practice would have a less than 7% less than attrition rate than other practices, because they are generating revenue from each and almost every patient that is coming into their practice. That would mean that they are actually growing. They are actually charging from everyone, and everyone is getting the treatment done. Everyone is getting converted, big time, small time, medium time, whatever. It is getting converted. So that is where they're utilizing the chair side time as well. So their chair time is not getting waste, even if they have 2 chairs, 3 chairs, consultant, associates, visiting, whatever. Their chairs are almost occupied 90% of the time in the year. Again, one of the important indicators is the chair time utilization that I'll be taking up next in the next session, of course. But then successful practices would have 7% less attrition rate than other. Again, this is by a study only. So then another indicator is the staff labor percentage. So again, it is kind of an overhead only, but I would say consider it as an independent KPI also, especially those who have big setups and multiple assistants. Those who have 2 to 5 assistants, they can consider a staff labor percentage, because labor is one of the largest expense in today's practice. We saw that labor percentage, even in direct cases also, can go sometimes as high as 25%. And you remember, we added 1/3 of the labor in the indirect as well, for the time they are not utilizing on chair side, and we are paying for that also. Obviously, in the chair side time, we just count on the number of procedures they are doing on the chair. So then again, that US European study says 25% of the staff pay percentage, orthodontics says 19, pediatric 19, OS 18, perio of 25 and 118. So this is as per various studies. If you remember this chart, which was the benchmark for us, we kept overhead of the staff is 15% over here. So this is the way actually we calculated the direct cost, and we took up 5% from here further to add into the indirect cost. So this is the way you should be actually aware of what exactly it is. So it does not mean I've given you 4, then marketing, leave aside marketing, then these 11, and I talked about the chair side time as well. So I've given you almost 16 KPIs for dentistry. You don't need to apply all of them. 3 to 5, 3 to 6 should be good enough. You already are doing 2, number of OPD and number of revenue, that everyone is doing. Even the most of the careless dentists who is not even record keeping might be doing. मेरी OPD बढ़ी है, कम हुई है, मेरा revenue बढ़ा है, कम हुआ है. These are the 2. Other than that, always at least have 3 to 4, 3 to 5 other indicators which can help. You can pick and choose any as per your suitability. If you're doing into marketing, you can beautifully link some of the marketing with your new patient revenue, your practice production per new patient as well. So this will give you a good amount of idea at what you are actually doing in your practice. So concluding today's presentation, yes, we need to know that a practice may seem to run smoothly, but sometimes if you want to track it very effectively, you need to measure the KPIs also. Because जब तक मैंने GPM NPM नहीं कराया था, तो many of us were in this notion that we are actually doing decent enough, we are doing good enough. Your myths were shattered. You all know why after the calculation of GPM and NPM. So do your KPIs if you can. You might encounter new findings as well. I do many things. This is the reason I am in love with figures and numbers, because these are the things which actually, even when I'm not doing anything else, and maybe if I'm having an off day from my clinic, I'm indulging in these kind of KPIs. Sometimes if it is a holiday and my kids are away to their nanny house, I sit on my chair and it is an off day for me. I sit on my clinic desk at 5 a.m. and don't get up from there till 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. in the night. I get served my breakfast, lunch, and there only, because I get so engrossed in my work, I forget the sight of the world, or I fail to keep a track sometimes also. This is the kind of thing I usually indulge and involve sometimes when I am about to calculate certain things. And this is the routine also when I'm doing the balance sheet and the profit and loss for all of my family. This is the schedule for that also, and those days are also coming fast. So as you study these KPIs monthly, I would say monthly, quarterly, and annually, 3 ratios, you actually, these will begin to tell you a story. And when numbers tell me a story, I do get fascinated, because they will reveal areas where we are doing well and the shortcomings where we need improvement. For example, the GPM NPM is a fair indicator for all of you. So if you're bored enough in this session, let me give you the carry home gyan. So the new patient conversion rate is one of the most highly tracked KPIs. People say new patient kitne aaye, kitne convert hue, wo dekho. And to calculate, we know the number of new patients that contact our office. So yes, it is who contact us is a metric and not a KPI. Those who get converted, that is actually a KPI. So the difference does not indicate the performance, but the number of them that converts does. So you can exert much control over the conversion rate than you can over the number of people that contact you, because there your internal marketing takes over. So you should still track the number of people who contact you, because it is an important metric. It will tell you where the source is coming. If you remember the presentation I told you in the first half today, how many people, by which source, which track, which lead, which conversion part. So then it will also tell you whether your advertising is effective or not, whether you are showing up well in Google searches or not, and whether you're visible in your community or not. So the moral of the whole story today is the quote by Martin Luther King: everything that is done in the world is done by hope. We all hope to get better patients, so we advertise. We hope to have a good earning, so we work. So all this is related. So now that we know KPIs for key performance indicator, it is only as valuable if we take action. People will sometimes blindly adopt the industry recognized KPIs. I would say make your own KPIs, something out of the box. Think out of the box. Always do certain things which can actually give you a fair and square idea, and that can give you more interesting developments out of this. And we actually fail to recognize that KPIs are a form of communication. As I said, the more you love the numbers, the more you play with them, they will begin to tell you a story. And I get fascinated by such stories very often. And it is the time that you also get or get in love with them. And again, if it is a communication, the same rules and practices will apply for every communication. Success, clear and relevant information, much more to be relevant or absorbed and taken action for. So if you are developing the strategies, you should know what your objectives are. Asking from where you are, where you want to go should be the basic ones only, and how you plan to achieve them. So it is a reiterative process that should involve a feedback. The role of feedback, how does that come? If you remember, the recent IDA Times articles have been on feedback. At least a good 6-7 articles have been on feedback. Take it from analysts, maybe your marketing team, maybe yourself, and your third eye, your staff, and of course your patients as well, where you actually can track, measure, and analyze whether you're committing a mistake somewhere or whether you're not growing somewhere. But at this point of time, I will actually warn you with a word of caution: don't overdo certain things. Always learn to draw a line somewhere. Don't get too finicky. While calculating GPM and NPM also, I told you, don't do it every day for every procedure. I gave you example of Dr. Sethi. He made a calculation. Next time he'll be doing it. He'll be remembering that, yes, maybe I didn't add this thing, or maybe now I'm not using that thing that I added in the earlier list. So accordingly, you can make the adjustment once, and you should be mentally clear कि मेरे को इस चीज में इतना margin है. That does not mean cutting the cost. That means sticking. If it is giving a good return, if it in case it was the GPM was coming close to 79-80%, he should stick to that, because it is a good enough GPM. And yes, if you add the NPM, I believe if the NPM has a fault, then the indirect cost needs to be monitored. अगर आपका NPM कम आ रहा है in spite of a good GPM, it does not mean कि आपको डायरेक्ट में कुछ कमी करनी है. इसका मतलब है कि आपको इनडायरेक्ट पे टैब रखना है. Patient work should not suffer. The direct cost in any way should not be compromised. If it is, even after giving the best to the patient, you're charging optimum and you're getting a good GPM. So remember that. अगर indirect से leakage है तो indirect को कम करो, direct में compromise नहीं करना, because that will again reflect into your production, that will reflect into your total revenue. If you can all join the missing links, it will be a wonderful thing for you. मेरे link जुड़े हुए हैं, आपके link धीरे धीरे मैं जोड़ रहा हूँ. So as all these 3 sessions unfold, today is the second session. Tuesday morning we'll be doing the last session on KPIs, and the last morning webinar for this group. So you will gain a better understanding which need to be measured with the KPI dashboard in your case. So keep evolving, keep changing, keep learning. That is the mantra for today. So thank you so much. And if you you know the YouTube channel link, if you forget, even this slide is changed today. So change is the law of nature. So if you forget the link, go to YouTube and search Dr. Bhavdeep Ahuja, subscribe and hit the bell icon. I keep on posting a video daily. If you notice, there is a change in this slide. So yes, this is my email, website, phone numbers. You already are aware of it. So again, this is a change slide today. So I'm on Clubhouse as well. So the ID is same, Dr. Bhavdeep. And I was on LinkedIn, but I never used to mention it. The same ID is there. My IDs are standardized everywhere. Couldn't be for page because already I have a ID in the name of Dr. Bhavdeep. So Facebook page could not be in the name of Dr. Bhavdeep. So that is Dr. Bhavdeep Ahuja. The rest presence is by my name only, Dr. Bhavdeep. That is standardized all over. So I'll be doing my debut on Clubhouse on 1st July, the Doctor's Day and the CA's Day. I'll be doing a Clubhouse live 7:30 p.m. in collaboration with someone. I'll notify all of you. If you want to attend, you can attend the live. So do send me your feedback, especially to today's session. If the 6 marketing KPIs and if the 11 clinic KPIs had something to tell you in this past 1 hour and 20 minutes, exactly started at 6:59 today. So bookers and big bats both would be welcome in Equinum here. From the 8 of you at the start, 7 of you were there. Now 8 of you are there, and along with me, total we are 9. So thank you so much for your patient hearing, and I stop my share for any kind of questions if there are from you. Any questions, anything you want to ask? सो गए कि जाग रहे हो सारे?
So which all KPIs should we share with our team, or is it all the KPIs which we follow, or a few of them should be shared?
It is as per your practice. You can pick and choose which you feel apply best to you. That is why I've given you the gross list 4, 11, and 1 discussed, which I'll give next time. 16 KPIs I gave you. Whichever is best suitable, apart from your gross revenue, gross total number of patients, we all do that. Any 3 to 5 you feel are good enough for your practice, because a practice customization is the best that you can actually do yourself and you can tell.
So, sir, like when we are checking with the KPI, the number of patients which have increased every month or whatever we are gaining on the inflow, that fact also we should share with the team or the front desk to motivate them or something like that.
You can share the selective information in that regard, because you can share maybe the new patient percentage, that whatever revenue we are getting from your old patients, we are not getting the same revenue from new patients. It should be at least 2 to 3 times. So we should be say comparing, and we can always share the selective information so that they are actually aware of it. That yes, certain things are there which are in charge wants us to take care of that. Maybe the patient motivation, maybe the patient welcome, maybe the patient feedback, maybe the patient sitting in the reception is needs to be maybe taken a little care of whenever we want to go that way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Raghu. We all have to see many things which we are not doing in that sense.
Sir, good morning.
Good morning.
Sir, one thing you have mentioned in your presentation, that sometimes you have faced in 2006-7 that quote have come to you in every day in form of for quotation, and that sometimes you have a confusion that from your neighboring dentist also maybe. How to reply that quotations to?
I didn't get your question. Please repeat it.
Sir, in your presentation, you have mentioned that in time of 2006-7, you have received an email almost every day for a quotation for different procedures, and you have a confusion that maybe from your neighboring dentist also, or maybe a patient also, that maybe you don't know that. How to reply to that?
I used to reply it in a way that yes, we can generally. I always used to give a range in that times, that I never used to specify it very clearly, the treatment exact cost. I always used to start at the lower. For example, what is the charges of your PFM crown? So in those days, if I remember correctly, I used to charge 2,500 at that time, around 2006 and 7. So I used to say PFM crowns are available from 2,000 to 8,000, and they vary from cost. They vary from case to case, and whatever suits you, we'll be able to better tell when we can check you out in physical in our clinic. So you can always schedule your appointment for the same, and accordingly we will be able to help you out better. It was never used to be a lengthy answer, just in 1 to 2 lines, and I used to finish in that way, so that the audience is more than actually confused if it is a window shopper. So if it is not a window shopper, they'll always come back to the clinic.
Okay.
Any more?
Sir, like many a times when we do some staff meetings with the front desk and others, like we tell them, these are KPIs or these are how many reviews we should take. I mean, it's not in a sense to make it commercial, but for our benefit, so that other patients come to know that we are doing this treatment. They should also know through the reviews and feedback of the patient. So, but some of the staff take it as a target achieving goal, and then they get under stress or pressure. So, in simple words, how can we, instruct them to do reviews or these KPIs should be maintained to see how much new patients or how much conversions we are doing?
See, the only thing is, if you are offering some incentives along with the procedure, the incentives are in cash, for example, sometimes the staff would resort to this kind of attitude. They would always do this thing, yes, if I complete that, I'm going to get a revenue in terms of incentives, going that way. So if you make that in kind somehow, for example, some of you who will get incentive done, or maybe a target achieving thing is done, and if that is done handsomely, then that staff would maybe get an extra off, maybe that staff would get a bonus coupled with that. Don't mention the amount. So these things can vary, and you can put it in a way where the package is say handsomely packed, whatever you're going to give to the patient. And if you just say jo review lega usko 100 rupees milenge, 200 rupees milenge, like that, then it is taken in a say objective manner. So which we don't need to actually flourish that wrong culture in our staff also.
Okay.
So that should be a clear-cut goal. And remember, and there should be a negative thing also added to that, that if somebody does not do it, then and if he does it wrongly, then that staff member might face a deduction also.
Okay.
Always say might face. It doesn't say will be deducted, because there's a difference between the two. But then it'll instill an amount of insecurity in that regard, which will actually make sure that the job is aptly done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, then. Any more queries, or we call it a day?
Is it okay to have people walking in, getting opinion from other doctors, coming and comparing you with them all the time? This is always happening, sir.
This is always happening, then that is fine. What do they compare? The treatment charges or the treatment protocol?
Many people come to me for treatment planning, sir, but go out and get it treated somewhere else.
Then you need to make sure that maybe your communication of conveying the plan is not good enough. Maybe you need to work out on your treatment plan part. Maybe you can always take a break of a day, sleep over your plan, and then convey it to the patient in a better manner, rather than instantly devising the plan.
They tell me this, sir, you are doing it perfectly, sir. That's why we come to you. We want to know what we want to do. But I sometimes see them in my college only. They come and demand those treatments there.
From you?
Yeah, not from me, sir. From the college staff members, because I am there only in the medicine department.
Does your college work on patient suggested treatment plans?
Sometimes they come and tell, sir, because they get it so clear across. They come and argue and want that to be done. Maybe I'm overdoing it.
No, you're not overdoing it. The only thing is you're not packaging it well. You're not conveying it in a very good manner. Maybe the plan is good, but sometimes the communication has a problem.
Okay.
You need to
make a note of this.
That is why I say you sleep over the plan, and you decide, if I say this line, what will be the counter question of the patient? Being in practice for 18 years, you also know, even I know, for example, you have seen it multiple times.
Yes, sir.
Many of the questions that are there in the chat, which are popping up throughout the session, they've already been answered in the session itself.
Yes.
Because I know what is the audience question going to be. That is known as comprehending or apprehending beforehand that yes, the patient's counter question can be this. Okay, now how do I reply back to this? That is my art and skill. Next, I answer this. The patient's counter question can be this, my answer. So this is the way you can talk it out. Husband and wife who are dentists are lucky in that aspect. They can do this patient and dentist game amongst them in the night. and then they can deal with the patient effectively the next day. And either of them can do it. If one of them is busy, either of them go in, considering if they both are working in the same practice. So
Yes, sir.
it is a personal thing. What do you want to do? But yes, that is the thing I would advise, that just sleep over it and convey the plan in a different manner.
I just applied these principles, sir. Working very good. Just following them blindly. I'm seeing them very effective. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you then. I call it a day, and we meet tonight at 8 p.m. with Financial Investment Journey Part 3. Today you'll be getting a video. Already must have received the link of YouTube channel link. Today I have a success story with Kaizen podcast. So I recorded an interview with them on practice aspects and financial aspects after BDS. So it is actually 1 hour plus a session. So it was in 2 parts. One part is live right now at 8:30. The second part would be live at 7. So do go through that. So I'll be sharing the link in the group as well. That'll give you a good idea. Although it is for people after BDS, but that should give you a good idea. So do post in your feedback to this session in the MPG group. I hope you have something to carry forward today. Thank you so much and take care and have a great day and a great weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.